You're listening to Aviation Marketing Hangar Flying, the community for the best sales and marketing professionals in the aviation industry. You can't learn to fly just from a book. You learn from other pilots who know the tools, the skills, and the territory. Your hosts, John and Paula Williams, are your sales and marketing test pilots. They take the risks for you and share strategies, relevant examples, hacks, and how-tos. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes so you won't miss a thing.
All right, well, welcome to the very first book club discussion of 2017. We never really know how these are going to go. We record them live the first Wednesday of each month. And our insiders are welcome to join us, and we'll see what happens. So that's always fun, right?
Oh, yeah.
This month's discussion is actually about ReWork, which was our December book club selection. And Joni Lampert-Schultz, and I heard your smiling voice just a minute ago. Joni and Casey are our first two recipients of the annual Aviation Marketing Scholarship Award. And we're really happy to have them on board. And of course, I'm Paula Williams.
And I'm John Williams.
And we are ABCI, and we are your moderators for today's event, and maybe doing most of the talking depending on how this goes, right?
Could be.
What did you think of the book? Now, this one was actually pretty interesting because it was written by the folks that built Basecamp, which is our project management software, which is pretty cool. I thought it was pretty neat because they have some really good ideas about working from anywhere. And most of us are in a situation where we're not in an office anymore. We have to work with people that in a lot of cases we've never met in person. We just work with them on the phone and by email and by, virtually. And I think Basecamp is a nice way of making that work because you can see what's been done, what hasn't been done, what works, what doesn't work, and so on.
Well, we work with people all over the world doing that.
Exactly.
I mean, from Panama to France to
Egypt.
Moscow to all over the States, Egypt at one time, who knows?
Exactly. So I think that's, Basecamp is really what makes that possible for me because we can have multiple projects going on. I can see what needs to be done. I get some pretty good reports on what's behind, what's ahead, and so on. I know you're not a huge fan of Basecamp.
No.
And this is the book that you didn't get because this was last month.
I went out and bought it because I am so glad I did it because I love it.
Good.
So anyway.
Excellent. Well, what did you like about it?
I like the simplicity.
Uh-huh.
I like that it's not a lot of jargon and it just goes right to the point.
Uh-huh.
That's what I liked about it. I mean, I specifically, I started reading through the whole thing, but then, I kind of ran out of time, so I just kind of went to the points that you said we were going to go over, and I obviously read those and made some notes and that sort of thing. So, anyway.
Wow. Well, you are above and beyond because we send you the books every month with the bookmarks in them, of the things that we're planning on discussing. And of course, we hope that you'll read the whole book. But I'm really glad that you went so far above and beyond and actually went out and got this book ahead of time and things like that. That's wonderful. I liked it. It was not, I'm kind of more of a, I guess I like books that are more explanatory of things to do, especially business books. But I did like the fact that this was a nice break from all of the heavy crap I've been having on the book list and all of the how-tos and everything else. So it was, I think, a really nice, refreshing essay-based book. John, I know you probably thought the same. I don't think you learned anything here that you didn't already know, but what did you think?
It made a few good points.
Good points?
Re-emphasized points that we already knew.
That's true. Absolutely. So good stuff. So thing number one that I highlighted for our bookmarks was drawing a line in the sand. I think this is one thing that people, especially in aviation, hesitate to do and say, this is who our product and service is for, and this is who it is maybe not for. And saying, this is only for people who are, for example, our products and services are only for people who are serious about sales and marketing and are not the kind of people that are that think that sales is a bad word or any of that stuff. So we don't, I think, make any bones about that, but I think we could be more clear about that in a lot of our marketing materials.
Likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matter of fact, since we're going to be working with the website and other materials, you can be a little more explicit.
Yeah, include that as one of our main points. We're not for everybody, and we don't want to do business with everybody.
No.
Right. Joni, with the Whirly Girls, I guess, you have a fairly specific profile of people that you're going after.
Yes. I mean, at the core of the organization, yes. But I guess my take on and what kind of what I've seen from the organization since I joined and since I've been involved is that they really aren't hitting all the potential that I think that they can get. So I that's where this really spoke to me because, first of all, I'm kind of opinionated, so it really spoke to me about strong opinions aren't free because I've ruffled some feathers, by asking questions and saying, why are we doing that? Is there a particular reason? And, that sort of thing. So this spoke to me because I said, my strong opinions, they're not free. And I have upset some people about things, but I feel like I and other people that share what I believe, especially in the terms of sponsors and growing the scholarship program and not just sticking to the small, what we've been doing. So we pushed out, I mean, that's the way it's worked for me.
Excellent. I like the way you put that.
I'm going to upset people because I have, for
right.
Sure.
I like the way you put that, though, that opinions aren't free. There's always a consequence to expressing a strong opinion, especially with, disagreeing with someone. But that doesn't mean that it's not worth it, So I think that's a really great way of putting that.
Absolutely. It's tough. And, people all have this problem, we kind of get into the rut of the way we do things, and sometimes it just takes, thinking outside the box and asking, why are we doing this? Why, is it just because we've always done it this way, or is it, are we really getting to the point of it all?
Exactly. Excellent. The next page that really stuck out for me, and of course, we could call out the whole book, but, we only have a limited amount of time here. So, making a call is making progress. So, make a dang decision. In a lot of cases, I think we work with a lot of folks in the aviation industry where there is a lot of consensus building that has to happen, especially in some of the larger, more complicated companies, and a lot of airport authorities report to a board, and a lot of these organizations are not really prone to making fast decisions.
And once you've made the call, stand behind it, even if it's your brand.
Yeah.
Then stand behind it unless you discover a reason to change it, and then make another call and change it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think, being able to make a decision, even if it's the wrong one, a lot of times we can make some progress. And even if we're going in the wrong direction, we can recover from that, discover that quicker, recover from it, make a turn or an adjustment, and still end up where we want it to be faster than if people don't ever make a decision, right?
Yep.
Tony, what do you think?
What I love, I went to EAA or AirVenture over the summer, and in knowing that the Whirly Girls were in the midst of development on the new website, so I went to the American Bonanza Society tent, and we have been members in the past, my husband and I, and so they had a new website. And so I asked them, I said, oh my gosh, we're going to be, going down this road. Do you have any words of wisdom? And the gentleman who was at the head of it, he says, you know what? Don't ever think that it's going to be perfect. Just get it done and move forward. So I took that advice, and that's where we're at. We can't wait for the perfect solution.
Right.
We got to decide and then take the next step. And one of the ladies that's on our website committee, she's kind of one of the older whirly girls that's, she's in her 70s, I think. And she said, it's like, Joni, you've done a good job of herding the cats.
There you go.
It's having to move forward and not going, okay, well, we'll decide that. We just, and then my takeaway on this was you can't build on top of we'll decide later, but you can build on top of done.
Yes.
And move on.
Exactly.
So that was really helped me through this process.
Fantastic. Right. I think that's something that we can all use as making, even if we make a deadline to make a decision and say, whatever our best guess is by Friday, we're going to move forward,
Yes.
That kind of thing. So I love that. Here's another one. Throw less at the problem. A problem isn't a problem if you can throw money at it. Well, that's great if you have unlimited funds, but most of us don't. So I think if you say, you know what, let me give this to somebody and give them X amount of resources to see if they can solve it, people get really creative.
Absolutely.
Right. There was an engineer that we worked with a while ago that is now doing aircraft design, but he's also done prosthetic limb design in India. That was one of his projects as a student. Is he made, and I would have to tell you, I think it's like a $12 foot, and it's made out of PVC. And, this is basically for people who have lost, there's a large number of people in the population, low income people that have lower extremity injuries. And he invented a $12 prosthetic limb that is much better than a lot of the more expensive things on the market. And he just used cheap but good materials, and a good design that can be altered, by size and everything else, and can be done by people in the field and everything else. And it's I think still being used today. It was a really kind of an innovative approach to design to cost is what the program is. And now he's using that in the aviation industry, where they take a cost and they say, can this be done with this cost? And here's a limitation. See if you can work with it. And you get really creative people to come up with some really creative stuff.
Well, you can force creativity in some people. I used to, I managed the numbers of people in corporate America, and found that when you're given a task and you don't have people for it, you give it to your busiest person. Seriously.
Right.
They will always find a way to get it accomplished within the time that they have.
Right. Another example of that is the $100 car. In some places in the world, they have a innovation or a contest, I think it was, I'd have to look that up, to develop a $100 automobile, within certain parameters and things. And of course, it's not in the United States where we have all these safety rules and everything else. But if you put a limitation of cost on things, sometimes people come up with some really amazing things. And Joni, I know you're in a nonprofit, so you have a big cost constraint.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it kind of how we found, and I'll tell you the story about how I found you. And because our development people with the website had given us a marketing plan, basically. And it was way out of what the rest of the board was willing to spend. So I just started looking around, on the internet, and I found you all. And I thought that's how, and then I found out that you had this scholarship, and then, it kind of worked out. But because of our limitation on funds to have a marketing plan, but I've always been interested in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to make time to be able to create the plan. But look at, what happened was through different series of limitations, I found you, and now here I am.
Right. Some of these things we just couldn't plan, no matter what we did, because, you showed up at just exactly the right time. I think we met you about a week before our scholarship applications was closing. And,
Right.
it was just insanely crazy that, we happened to run into a person that met all of the criteria that we were looking for a week before that application closed. And, we ended up selecting you, and we're really happy that you're here and that you're especially, given the time constraints that we had and the money constraints that you had. So that's pretty fabulous.
It is. I'm very excited about that. So, hey, sometimes limitations.
Right, absolutely. Okay, let's see. Next is pick a fight. I love this one. I've actually taken this advice at least once already. Picked a fight on LinkedIn. A gentleman told me that one of my posts was too commercial, and said something about fake news. And I told him, well, if you're really looking for news, you shouldn't be looking on social media. You should be getting a subscription to the Wall Street Journal and, paying a real journalist to get your news from. And, it's something that a few years ago I may have backed down from because, I come from a background where my dad was not the most appreciative of sales and marketing as a profession. And, so it's one of those things that just raises those childhood anxieties or whatever. Am I being too commercial?
How
But
did he respond to you?
he never did.
That's what I told you would happen.
Exactly. So, it's just like there is a time and place for commercial behavior. And, if you are so disgusted by capitalism, then, maybe you need to be doing something else. But that was a good fight, and it was actually quite enjoyable for me and hopefully educational for him and not terrible. So, we'll see
True.
what happens. But
That's not the only fight you picked.
no, it's not the only fight I've picked. I've picked a lot of fights.
But you have to, because that's the way, if you watched the election last year, that's the way they did it.
Mm-hmm.
They became controversial in public
Mm-hmm.
and got people to talking.
Well, and I think, there's a right and a wrong way to say anything you have to say. I don't think it has to be personal or nasty to get your point across, but it certainly worked for them, I guess. So it's hard to argue with success. And Joni, you were talking about picking fights earlier. At least it sounds like you don't back down.
Well, sometimes I have to remember to deliver it a little better. So, but what happens sometimes and I try not to stay in that or get into that arena is to get personal. When you get personal, that's when things kind of change,
Yeah.
And yeah, you gotta, and you can really step over the line quickly, but I try not to do that and try to keep to the point. Like one of our members got real upset, and when you call people on what they're doing, they will back down.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it becomes personal, I'm saying,
Right.
It's like a bully. It's like a bully. You got to go, okay, but not get in their face, because you never know what you're going to get back. But you need to go to the point where you're calling them on what they did or said.
Exactly. Exactly. We've had a lot of conversations with with one of our kids about how you can say anything that you want or need to say to anybody, but there's a right and a wrong way to say it. So, and it sounds like that's exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Right. Cool. Build an audience. We actually have talked with a couple of people, and there's several people that I know in the aviation industry. John Ostrower is one, Benet Wilson is another, Mary Kirby is another, who've changed jobs they're journalists in particular, that have worked for several different news outlets and publications, and they take their audience with them. And I'm pretty sure that that's part of the reason that they get hired at different organizations, is because they have such a huge following that's independent of, John Ostrower now works for the Wall Street Journal. He used to, or CNN, he used to work for the Wall Street Journal, he used to work for FlightAware. Mary Kirby has been a number of places. Now she has her own news outlet, Runway Girl, which is fantastic. And Bené Wilson's worked for AOPA and a number of other organizations, and she takes thousands of people with her wherever she goes that follow her around from publication to publication, because people trust her, and they like her style of news, and they appreciate the information she digs out, and it's just kind of a cool thing. But in marketing, it's a different thing, because you build an audience of people that like and trust your information, and then all of a sudden your products become a different category from other people who aren't providing that kind of information, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Cool. And Joni, I know you're in the business of building an audience for Whirly Girls. You've got a lot of social media as well, and things like that you're building on.
That's right. One of the things that was really we had an editor of our Collective Pitch magazine, which is our membership magazine.
What's that name? That's cool.
Isn't that fun? Collective. I don't know how long it's been around, but I think it's pretty catchy. So Kate had been doing this Collective Pitch print magazine, and she was really burnt out. And so anyway, she has definitely she's our future webmaster for the website, because her vision is to create a blog, within the website. And that it feeds on exactly what this is saying, because it's saying, you don't have to buy people's attention and we want them to come back often to see what we have to say. And so that was her vision, was that she wanted to see where it was more dynamic, instead of this print magazine that by the time you get it to print and out to everybody, it's old news.
Right. And there's a lot of expense there as well.
Yes, there is. And so that's been her, I think there's a place for the print, but it's not with the news, I don't think. I think this is right down Kate's alley when it comes to this. So I'm definitely going to share this with her, this short little chapter on this. I think it'll really speak to her. Excellent.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I liked what you said about that you don't have to buy people's attention. You can earn it, and that's really what you do with social media, is you put something interesting out there that people will share with other people. And, then you've earned attention instead of having to pay for it.
Exactly.
Right.
And everything's a story is also something I learned as well, especially within our group, because we have women that have amazing stories, but haven't told their story. And so that's one of the focuses that we want to have with the organization, starting in Dallas, because in Dallas, Texas Women's University actually does all of the archives for our organization, and they've done, them for the women service pilots as well. And so the gal who is coming down from TWU in Denton down to the Heli Expo event and to our education day, that's what our focus is going to be. We all know that each of you have a story to tell, and that's what we want. People love to read about people's lives.
Absolutely. Yeah, stories are the very best marketing, and that earned attention comes from being a great storyteller, and that's really one of our big focuses this year. So that's amazing to hear you say that. That's good timing. Similar point, being able to out-teach your competition. And Joni, I don't know if you have any competition as far as helicopter organizations for women, but I know education is often a big part of the types of organizations that you're in.
Right, right. We don't have any, but no, we don't have any direct competition because there's not another women's organization, but we do have like women in aviation and, 99s, and there's so other ones, but not like I can be a 99 and still be a whirly girl, and I could be a women in aviation member and still be a whirly girl. So we have a competition along that line.
Right, exactly. And but you do have to add value so that people can see, wow, I'm a member of 5 different organizations. This would be a 6th for me, but it's still worth it for these reasons,
Exactly. That's what we have to do, is create the value, because some people just only have X number of dollars to pay to, being in members of such different organizations. So we always have to be looking at the value.
And the time and money, exactly. I think this is probably one of the things that has changed the world for us as far as aviation marketing companies, because I think we are the only one that does anywhere close to what we do. There's lots of other marketing companies out there, and there's a few other aviation marketing companies out there, but they are more interested in doing things for people than helping them become better at sales and marketing themselves. But we've run into so many situations where the edges of what we do are where the failure points are. Like we can do a great marketing campaign for somebody, but then the salespeople are not following up properly or whatever. So if we can provide some education and guidance for them to say, this is how you fit in, then our products work 1,000 times better and get 1,000 times better results for our customers. And, because we have provided that kind of education. And if we didn't, our products wouldn't work. And it's not because they're not good. It's just because they're
a step
incomplete.
in a process.
Right. Exactly. Right. So I think this is a big deal for us, and that's why our focus has always been on education and on the Insider Circle and other education initiatives. That's where 99% of our marketing money goes into to education, and I think that's true of a lot of our customers too. They're attracted to us because they want to educate their customers and make them better users of aviation products and services. So,
and those that don't fare as well.
Yeah, that's for sure. The ones that don't care about their customers and just say, buy my product and I don't care whether you use it or whether it sits in the box. Those are not ideal customers for us.
Yep.
Well, I value the fact that that's what you're doing to people, because to me, there's, you can give somebody a fish, but if you teach them how to fish, there you go. You got the talent for life. I mean, I don't know. I'm coming from a direct sales background, because I learned more about myself, like in my, in what I submitted to you all, was I learned more about myself through owning that simple direct sales company. I had a team of 20-something people that I would just teach how to sell, people that didn't have sales backgrounds.
Wow.
And it just became natural for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just taught them how to do that. But I also valued their personality. I didn't want them to all become me, because it's hard to it's hard to be somebody else. You got to be yourself through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the whole idea, is you gotta, I tried that for the person that sponsored me or I learned from. I tried to be like her, and that just didn't work for me. I needed to find, take my personality and my strengths and my weaknesses and make, and learn and just be myself. So I try to do that for other people,
Right. So you
That's
get to be.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
People calling me all over the place. I don't get it.
There you go.
Sorry.
No
Okay,
problem.
so I appreciate what you do. I truly do. And I will tell everybody I know about it as well.
Well, that's fantastic. I like the fact, that you want to be Joni Schultz squared. You don't want to be Zig Ziglar. I mean, that's just not the way that it works, especially in sales, because it's such a personal thing. You have to make a personal connection with people, and if you're trying to be somebody you're not, they smell it on you,
Absolutely.
And that's, I think, why sales gets a bad reputation is because, a lot of people just try to be Zig Ziglar and they just can't pull it off, and it's not working for them. So
That's right. Everybody has a gift and a talent. I got it.
yeah,
No matter what that is, they have to be they have to find it. And
yep.
again, they cannot be somebody else. You have to be yourself and then develop yourself and not try to be someone else.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Okay, so marketing is not a department. I love this one because to me, almost anything that happens in a business that is a problem is a marketing problem. Either something wasn't sold to the employees in a convincing way, or something isn't being sold to the customers in a convincing way, or the proper use of the product isn't being sold to the customers in an appropriate way. There's always a marketing solution to just about any problem you come up with.
Well, everybody's in sales.
Yep.
So everybody's in sales,
Yeah.
whether or not you're selling a product, you're selling yourself.
hmm
And it doesn't matter if you're just trying to convince your mom you need to go outside or you want a Coke. It starts there.
Yep.
That you're selling
Yep.
an idea or a product.
That's true. In fact, there's a quote from Rabbi Francis Lapin that I love, that says, unless you're a Supreme Court justice or a tenured university professor, you're in sales. But I'd argue that the Supreme Court justices and the tenured university professors are still selling their students something.
Well,
And they're
I don't know
still,
about the professor, but the Supreme Court justices have got to sell their ideas to all the other justices.
that's true. That is absolutely true. That's why they spend so much time writing opinions.
Mm-hmm.
So, even the exceptions are not exceptions.
That's a sales document.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
Because they've sold something to get where they are.
That's right.
That is absolutely right. And, lawyers are the best salespeople. That's their job. Right.
Definitely.
True. All right. And then the last one, own your bad news. This is something that we do on I'm going to say kind of a formal basis for some companies that want to have an early response PR program. If you're a flight school, you can brainstorm all the bad things that can happen at a flight school, right? A plane gets dinged, heaven forbid, there's an incident or something like that. But, you can brainstorm what are all the possible bad things that can happen, and you can prepare a process for, what are we going to go through? Who are we going to communicate with? What pieces of information do we need to relay? Who is going to be the point of contact? Have all that stuff thought out ahead of time so that they're the ones telling the story, and it's not, people, the kids' parents aren't finding out on the nightly news, what's going on with your flight school. So, you really want to be the one to tell the story. And like you said, Joni, being a good storyteller and John, being a good storyteller and being able to get the facts out there in the most appropriate way is on you, as the business owner. It should not be on the news media. It should not be on anybody else because they're not going to tell it the way you want it told.
That's right.
Yeah. You read
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Anything happens, like, this is just me listening. So any kind of news story happens, and of course that news agency said we reached out to so and so about, and they had no comment. It's like I always want to go, why would they not comment, even if it was just simple? Because you're just setting yourself up for people going, why didn't they want to comment?
I can answer that, actually.
You can?
Absolutely. I have been in front of so many news people and even given them written copy, And what comes out, it doesn't matter what I said. That is not what comes out in the news.
Ah, okay.
So
All
it's
right.
easier and better to say no comment and then hire a PR guy to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. What's even better than that is to have all the PR done ahead of time. So,
Yeah, but you never can.
all
I mean,
right.
I finished a project that was a multi-million-dollar project. I couldn't have figured out PR ahead of time, and I was misquoted left and right on that.
Well, in
It
your
was,
project
and
plan, you could have said, here's what we need to communicate to the public and to the Fed and
no,
everybody
no,
else.
no, that would never work because they were paying for it,
Okay.
and I'm not going to pay for it. They weren't going to pay for it because since they're paying for it, they're going to say what they want,
Mm-hmm.
not what I said.
Mm-hmm.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
No comment is a valid comment sometimes.
Okay. Cool. Well, we have a point of disagreement, but I think we agree
I've
that,
lived that part of it. I know.
yeah, that it is better to have people hear the bad news from you than from someone else. Okay, cool. All right. So, what else about the book stood out for you? Do you have anything to add, Joni?
Well, yeah, there was one. I was really, because we have to do this, I really wanted to talk about the point. It's page 185. It says press releases are spam.
Ha!
And so I guess I just wanted to talk about that and perhaps even ask your opinion about this because, it seems like that's what everybody does, but it says in here, instead call someone, write a personal note. What do you all think about that? That they are saying press releases are spam?
Well, you can make spammy press releases, but in fact, the people that we go through for press releases, which we do, have very small, sharp rules that you must follow, and you can't actually have any spam in there. And the reason you don't call somebody is because those press releases can get out to millions of people rather than one or two.
Right. I'd say we take kind of a two-path approach to press releases. I think that they are valid and I think that they are good. Um, and they do a lot of good in terms of reaching audiences that you may not otherwise be able to. So, as an example, if we release a press release and it gets picked up by 150, 200 news outlets, that is not unusual to have happen. These are not big news outlets necessarily, they're little local things. And
Some of them are.
yeah, some of them are big, but that's I'm going to say the low level path is the automated press release systems that we use. The higher level path is with all aviation publications. They don't necessarily subscribe to AP or Reuters or the other newswire services because they're looking for very specific pieces of news and they want to write them themselves. So for that type of reporting, we send them the press release, but we also try to give them some heads up ahead of time saying, here's a newsworthy thing that's going to be happening with one of our clients. We know the reporters, we know the editorial calendar of what's coming out in AIN or Aviation Week or whatever in May, June, July, and say, here's something that would be good for your July issue if you're looking for quotes or photographs or something, to help with that bit you're working on. Because they're overworked and underpaid like the rest of us. So in that case, it takes a more personal touch than the automated systems. So I don't think the automated systems are worthless. But in the aviation industry, you do have to take things up a notch and you have to have those relationships with reporters that know you're going to be giving them good, non-spammy, fabulous information that they can count on to make their job easier. Did that help?
Okay. Yeah, we have not subscribed, we don't have a subscription to all aviation publications. We have a member who said that she could get us a list at her cost. and it was like a $300 price tag.
Ah,
So I don't know, and it was like North America,
Yeah.
but I just don't know how beneficial / cost effective that might be for the organization.
right.
Well, what we do is we use that as a part of an integrated marketing plan approach. And then we can track when that goes out where if any of the anybody comes into a website or anything else, we can tell where it came from.
Okay.
Right. So if we're getting lots of traffic on our website suddenly from Aviation Week, from a particular article, then we know that that's a good one to pursue next time. But yeah, in terms of your needs for publicizing events for your organization, we do a combined editorial calendar every year, and we'll make that available to you. Since you're an insider for the year, we'll make that available to you as well. So that's not completed yet. There's a lot of publications that are still getting their rate cards and their editorial calendars finished for the year. And, so it'll probably be late January, early February when we get that together, but we'll share that with you as well.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Obviously I am the marketing I already told the rest of the board, I said, we all market this organization.
Yeah.
I said that before I read this in the book, that our entire board, is marketing. So, but I am like the lead on it now. So,
Yep, you got to have somebody in charge, so that's true.
So, but I'm, like I said, we're going to do the best we can, and while Joni gets up to speed.
Yep, hear ya. Okay, so next month we're going to be discussing the book Soar, which is, we actually interviewed Shashank Nigam a couple of weeks ago, and he's a great guy. He's really funny. He's a great storyteller, speaking of such things. And this is about 12 stories from different airlines in the world, about how they built their brands or how they differentiate their brands in a very difficult space. And it's a little bit different. In fact, it's a lot different from business aviation and general aviation. But, airline marketing, we used to say, when we talk to people about what we do, we say we do all aviation except the airlines because they follow their own rules and do their own thing as far as marketing goes. But Shashank's the guy to talk to about airlines for sure. So, that'll be a great book to read. And there's going to be a lot of really interesting, I think, parallels and great stuff that we can pull out and use even in the business and general aviation world. And that's pretty much it. So go sell more stuff.
Yep, America needs the business.
Right.
Thanks for joining us for Aviation Marketing Hangar Flying, the best place to learn what really works in sales and marketing in the aviation industry. Remember to subscribe on iTunes and leave a rating.